and welcome to another Warcraft the audio commentary. Today, we're going to be watching another game from this wonderful show match. It is going to be game number 4. Numero cuatro. Cuatro. I really need to practice these words before I start using them. But, this is game number 4, and let's go ahead and get into it. On the top left part of the map, we got the human spawning in as the light blue. His name is HawK. He is an amazing human, one of the best. And then down in the lower left, or well, the lower right part of the map, is our mighty undead Cechi. It's getting worse. I thought I would be doing better. It's getting worse. I really, yeah, Cechi. Our undead, our mighty undead, the yellow undead, and he's playing on, of course, in the map of Terenas Stand. Now, Terenas Stand is a fun map, and I've got to say, right off the start, I'm loving his build up here at the top. I don't know quite exactly what the point of it is, but I can tell you that I like it. And let's talk a little bit about it, because on this map, there's a very unique danger where you can buy sappers right here, run them right on up, and if you've blocked your mine, if you build your base kind of in that normal way, we've got a couple zigs right here, it can kill 2 zigs. 1 sapper can kill 2 zigs. Now, Undead's the only race that has that problem. Alright, burrows, anything else will get down. The other one's down to like 5 HP. With Undead, it outright kills them. This is important because a lot of times, if you're just trying to send like 1 sapper and you don't have any other units to finish them off, you gotta finish them off fast, because even if you bring a footman in, if you start repairing it, you're not gonna kill it, you know? So it's one of those things where it's like, really, that's a big deal. You have to be really careful with that. And it's not a huge deal against humans, mostly because they usually aren't playing Paladin first, and if they do, you have other options. I mean, Paladin is really the only thing you really need to block your base off against. It's good to do it against Mount King as well, but you can kind of deal with it if you don't. He might still end up doing it. It's one of those things you sometimes have to do, but I do like his current build up here, just because that's kind of not weak to that. You know, if you could never get a sapper up to this Nubian tower unless you had like something really good something going on there. I don't even know. This is also clever. Look at this. So he's used the lightning shield to go ahead and damage those guys down. Of course, you don't want the lightning shield to kill it, because if it does, then you don't get experience for it, because it's the lightning shield cast by a creep, so the neutrals technically get benefit for that, not you. But man, he is going fast with this. That is a really fast way to creep that out. I don't think I've ever seen it crept out that fast. That was insane. And he managed to creep it out before the undead even got there with his Death Knight. Both of them. I mean, usually you see only the laboratory being crept out first, and this time we saw both. So a really simple but clever and effective use of Lightning Shield. Really good job by HawK, just showing again why he's one of the best humans in the world. Yeah, one of the best in the world. I was going to say if not the best. I was like, I think Thu probably still holds that title. He is absolutely rocking it. And down here, we are seeing backpack be researched. Once again, we're just seeing every single game, the Undead, he's going for this very strong early game type of power play, and the human player just picking off skeleton after skeleton. And this Undead currently absolutely no experience on his Death Knight. That is uncommon in the early game. He has done a bit of damage to the Archmage, so he's gonna have to be a little bit careful, but he does have a Cloak of Shadows, and he doesn't have a Dust. Is he bringing a Dust with one of his units? He's not currently doing that. He might pick it up with that Fiend, but I don't know if he's even noticed that there's a Cloak of Shadows. That's one thing you have to be a little bit careful about on this map, as well as like Turtle Rock, because there's green creeps that give you a Cloak of Shadows, and that can really mess up your early game if you're going for that style where you want to try to kill the Archmage. Now, in this type, it's not going to be that big of a deal as well, because he does have that Forest Shadow Priest that's healing it up. But if you do let your Archmage get low and then you just, you know, go into invisibility, that is a bit of an issue. And the Death Knight has been able to pick up 25 XP, probably killing just a peasant or something. I didn't quite see. But yeah, he is not having a good start. This is a really fantastic opening for HawK. Absolutely, really well. So we'll see if he can pull this one out, because he's definitely down a couple games now. I don't remember the exact score off the top of my head, but again, it's the Undead's, I think, favored right now. So we'll see if he can pull this one out. He's bringing the peasants down here. That kind of indicates that he wants to go ahead and use those guys to start building probably towers, potentially a shop. Potentially a shop first, but usually against this you just want to get those arcane towers up as quickly as you can. One is mostly all people will go with, but since you know there's backpack, you know there's going to be a lot of skeletons, so it might be worth it to go for 2. Again, Undead missing his coils. He has actually been able to healed something. I don't know what it was, but 65 XP, so he just got that. And he is going to have to run away a little bit here. He does not have Unholy Aura. He's kind of getting lowish on mana. He's only got 2 coils left right now. They're level 1. He's got to be careful not to lose a fiend, but he's doing a great job microing here, trying to avoid having to put those coils out. I think he wants to use them aggressively, but he's just not going to get the chance. And as we can see right now, HawK has had such a great opening that he's just going to go ahead and start building the town hall. He's built the arcane tower up. He doesn't care. And with this kind of pressure that he can put out, he doesn't need to care. He's got a level 3 archmage against a level 1 death knight. That is not the situation the undead really wants to be in. It's not the worst that it could have gone for the undead. He hasn't lost any units yet, but it is pretty bad nonetheless. He's not done anything. This is the game, like we talked about before, the undead usually kind of has, I would say, again, they have the pressure ability in the early game, and it looks so far like in this game that the human's the person who's been putting out all the pressure, and that is the opposite of what you want as the undead, and that's almost the opposite of what you need. So I would definitely say the undead is behind at this point, but that doesn't mean you can't turn this around nonetheless. He's going to have to bring all these fiends back. He's just really doing his best right now, microing these guys. He's up to 5 fiends. Does he have Burrow? Probably not, because he just hit tier 2. He's not researching it yet. If he had Burrow right now, he'd be a little bit better off, but there is always the chance that he can just reveal from that Goblin Laboratory over there. Just trying to micro this. If he used an Acolyte, he could actually go ahead and block those, but he's not going to do that. He's going to run them all the way down here. He's really, really doing a fantastic job with this micro on these fiends. Oh, is he going to be able to keep this one alive? It's going to probably go down to that water elemental, but he does keep at least the other one alive. And so I believe that is 1 fiend down. That's only 1 fiend down. And a surround on the Archmage. And here comes that high immediate response from HawK. He is so good. Most players would not even remember that they had that item. But HawK was like, boom, as soon as I got surrounded, I'm going to go ahead and make him buy a dust. And that is absolutely fantastic. And also, it's delaying the undead. Everything that he just did, the human just did, was to delay the undead. And so doing that, not only does it waste some resources of your opponent, it also delays the undead. Now, not by a lot, but sometimes these timings can come down to just a couple of seconds. So a couple of seconds is a big deal. And you can see that he was only here for like 5 seconds. He would have been here for much, 10 seconds, which, 5 seconds of healing, or waiting, because, he gets in basically an extra 5 seconds of healing, because if the undead wanted to come straight here to attack, which he wouldn't, but if he had wanted to, then basically they would be much lower on life, because 5 seconds of healing does add up quite quickly, as you can see on this little thing. Now, it's not a huge deal, but it's all those little things added up that really start to make big differences in these games. And we're going to go ahead and see a fight underway. He does have that Lich out, and he went with Frost Nova. Against Mountain King, that's when you usually see the Frost Armor. Otherwise, Frost Nova is usually the preferred choice, because all of these units, as you say, they just clump up really bad. And plus, when they have Defend on, it's really hard to kill them with Footmen. And you just don't need the Frost Armor as bad in this case, because you can just micro. If they're all in Defend, you don't have to really worry. You just micro it back a bit. But the human, he is playing the Defend and buy time strategy here. And he's not going to really go ahead and reveal this. There's no point. If he did, he wouldn't kill him. So he's just going to let those water elementals buy as much time as possible. And this undead is not currently level 3 on his Death Knight. That's what you really would like. Level 2 on your Lich is pretty nice as well, because you do want Frost Armor usually. He might go for the Dark Ritual. Both are okay choices in this matchup, really. But there's going to be a Mountain King eventually, and it is nice to have the Frost Armor. But he can always switch into that later if he decides to, because mana is sort of limited in the early game. And so that's one of those things that you have to decide. Do you want to wait? If he has the statues coming out, then he probably will go with Frost Armor, and he does have those statues on the way, and as you normally should. And up here we can just go ahead and see Mercenary is being bought by the human player. He's bringing down another 4-Strode Berserker. These guys are really good, strong units. He's going to send the Skeleton in just to die. Tanking with the Lich, because all of his fiends are kind of low, but hey, the statue's here, and he's going to be able to start doing that AoE healing. And this is one of those great moments where the micro has just really paid off, keeping these units alive and keeping all of the damage spread out. Damage spread out is really, really good for undeads, because they have unholy healing they have the unholy aura for the AoE healing. They have statues for the AoE healing, and if they end up back on Blight, well, that's also AoE healing. So really good to spread the damage out. It's really important as an undead. It's kind of important as a human as well, because they do have the healing, scrolling regeneration thing that's like AoE healing as well. So anytime you have AoE healing, you really want to spread damage out. He's doing his best to micro that fiend back. Unfortunately, just not quite enough, and he just had enough mana right there for a coil, but it may well have been on cooldown. So he's going to go ahead and use Burrow. He's probably going to have to get the coil on that, because it may end up actually getting revealed. There is the reveal, and there is the coil. Will that be enough? Unfortunately, not quite. If he was a little bit faster with that on Burrow, he might have been able to get that out of there. If he had the Froststormer, he could have saved it as well, but that's just not going to happen. Of course, we're seeing this Water Elemental. Usually, what you do with the Water Elementals is suicide them into the statues because it's going to do damage. You can't really heal a statue other than Unholy Aura or Repair, but Black Citadel Tech is finally here. That means he's going to be able to pick up an orb, give it to his Lich. He does have a Potion of Mana on the Death Knight, which means he can actually go straight for some more aggression right now if he wants to, which might be the best idea. But we do see a couple of Griffin Aviaries coming up as well as a couple of Arcane Sanctums. Arcane Sanctums and Griffin Aviaries are basically not great for the undead. It looks like, I don't know, he's got a ways to go before he gets to Castle Tech, so he's got a little bit of time before the undead really is in the bad danger zone where it becomes human advantage. And if the undead doesn't do something to change the way this game is going, then he is going to be in a pretty bad spot come tier 3 for the human. But we're going to see this fight. This fight could turn this around. Once you have Orb, you can start doing a lot more damage, but still, he really wants to get level 3 on that Death Knight. And he's also going to need Destroyers out at some point because these Water Elementals are eating him alive, and with that, there's also going to be Casters coming out pretty soon for the human. Now, there's also the chance that he goes for the Breaker HawK or the Breaker Griffin play, where Destroyers aren't really great. In that case, you definitely want the Abominations out. Abominations are really good against Breakers. They're actually really bad against Griffins, though. So if he goes for Griffins, you know, there's always that whole counter, get countered, countered, get countered to the counters, counter of countering counters. I don't know what I'm saying, but basically, you always have to be a little bit careful with that. Level 3 is on the Death Knight, though, so he's kind of turning this around. He's getting close to level 3 on the Lich as well. Hero levels can win you games in this matchup more so than anything else. More so than economy, more so than anything that I can really think of. It's just, if you have a significant hero level advantage, then you can win every single fight, and handedly, and that's a big deal. So this is a map that's kind of small. There's very limited experience on this map from neutrals. We've seen already a lot of it has been crept out by now, and if we look, we can see this is being mostly crept out. There's still a little bit, but as far as oranges go, we have this orange, and that orange, and that orange, and this orange, and that orange. But that's not a whole lot of oranges, and that's not really going to get you. Maybe that'll get him to 5-5. Maybe it might not. If he could get all of them, but chances are the human's going to pick some of those up, and you got to kind of be careful about that. Now, the human also really wants to have a higher level Archmage, but he also really wants to have a higher level Mountain King. The reason you want to have a higher level Archmage is because you want experience, you want HP on it. You want it to be able to survive nukes, because even at level 4, he only has 625 life. That is not very sturdy. The Mountain King has 700 life at level 1. You can just see that is a big downside for the Archmage, and that is why when you have high level nukes, you have that kind of nuking power. You can boom, knock down their HP, and then they're in a lot of trouble. We do have a Destroyer out. We do have level 3 and level 3, so we have the 3/3 on the Undead Heroes. And on a map like this, it's a big issue that you really don't want to go for that third hero until you more or less are convinced that you've got as much of the neutral experience as you're going to onto your 2 heroes. That's just one of the things, but for the human, he really just wants to have that Paladin out. He wants to be able to use Holy Lights, and we're going to see this fight going down right now. The Paladin is, in fact, out. We're seeing these Destroyers, they kind of went ahead and spent quite a bit of mana on those towers, and the human let that kind of happen before he's going to start engage this fight, but not too long. And as you can see, the human player has got a great kind of concave coming in here with these Militia and with the Shredder. He's going to focus on the Shredder because the Shredder will go down pretty quickly to those Magic Orbs, and that's going to happen focusing on the statue, no, on the Fiend, and that's in the front line. The Death Knight kind of taking a bit of damage. He's not going to go for the surround here. He's even going to switch focus back maybe on over to these Fiends. If you can take out the Fiends, that is a pretty big thing. The Paladin does go down usually, as well as the Mountain King. Great focus targets early on are those heroes. If you have the hero level advantage, push it as hard as you can on either side of the matchup. If you're the human, you need to push it. If you're the undead, you need to push it. And the undead is pushing it very hard. Even though he's kind of been behind the entire game, with that level advantage, he was able to go ahead and win that fight regardless. Now, the human player is actually playing from, in my opinion, behind at this point. And I mean, that's a big deadly push coming in from the undead player here. As you can see, he's sitting at 57 food after that fight, 1-0 attack upgrades, and just did a fantastic job hitting him when the human was really at his weakest point in that transition to the late game army there, and he was kind of starting to creep. I think the human player may have been better off if he hadn't got caught like that, you know, if he hadn't fought that, if he had just said, you know, go for my base, and then the human kind of maybe went for this base, but he was so close, there was no way he could make it, and good game was called. And that, again, that is the power Okay, that is the power of having a significant hero level advantage. Even with the Archmage being level 4, it's not that big of a deal, because what you want is enough nuking power, and level 2 on the Mountain King is not what you need. You need level 3, and you need level 3 on the Paladin, or really at least level 2 so you have Divine Shield so you can keep him alive, because if he's level 1, you know he has Holy Light, and that's useful, but he's kind of easy to kill. And so that's that. That's pretty much game 4 in a nutshell, I guess. And so, thanks for watching, everybody. This is not the last game. We will be watching Game 5 tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!